Welcome to it's actually a very special episode of a Candor Gander. It's sort of not typically what I end up doing, but in many respects, I think it's a very fitting, thing here. Uh, this is, like I said, a very special episode of Candor Gander. It's a special with two of my dearest DFK friends here. You all probably know them from the community here, Mr. Coolio and Mr. Zelys. They're both here from DFK Helper. We'll be doing sort of a product overview and then my review, my take for you all to share. Um, with that said, Zelys, Coolio, welcome. Coolio, I know you've been a guest before. Thank you very much for coming back on board. Sort of same person, different sort of interview here. Zelys, first time guest, welcome. So let's go ahead and just briefly introduce the two of you. You guys are both creators of a very helpful bot here, DFK Helper. By now you may have heard, you may have seen them. I know they've appeared on different shows. I suspect they may show up elsewhere as well. But Coolio, yes, you're on the DFK Helper team. Before then, you had your own your own sort of website, your own service. You still sort of maintain that, make use of that, and I've seen some. That's great. Just maybe a few seconds there, just brief introduction from the two of you. Coolio, briefly.
So I'm Coolio. I am in Washington State right now in the Air Force, and I've been working on a few things with DFK, like we had the interview before, as you mentioned. But lately, I've devoted most of my efforts, I would say pretty much 100%, working with Zelys on DFK Helper, it's been a great ride. Basically, we're just always trying to help the community out. Yeah, it has. Help the community out as far as automation. And making that as smooth and efficient as possible. So it's been fun being with the community and trying to make things better.
Wonderful. Zelys, introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. So I've been looking to get on with you for a long time. The holidays got in the middle, but you've been using DFKH since November, October?
It sounds about right. Yeah, it's been a while. I know I wanted to do a show with the two of you a while back ago, and I can't remember who it was, Coolio or you, Zelys, who was like, hey, you know what? Try it for some time, and then we'll do a show. That time is now. So, yeah, no, I've been using it for a minute. Feels like, 10 years in the crypto world.
I just looked at your log to try to figure out, what was it? The date was that you joined up, and I'm seeing 6,637 unread messages. So
my God.
That's your log entries. So yeah, that's months. Probably November.
Wowzers. Yes. Oh my God. No kidding.
A lot of dueling, raffles. Yeah, mostly raffles.
Service. As you all know or may know, it is a DFK bot service, but it's more than just an auto questing tool. It does a lot more than that. Zelys or Coolio, do you care to sort of elaborate on everything DFK Helper can do for you?
He pointed the finger.
I did. There you
go. So yeah, basically, it's not. I don't like to think of it as a bot. It's way more complicated than that. It's an enormous creature. A lot of people say, oh, it's an auto quester. It's not an auto quester. Auto questing is like 5% of what DFKH does. The auto quester part of DFKH was coded in like 2 weeks. That was in 2021. And since then, we've been working on a whole bunch of other stuff. It's pretty easy to use, I think. It's more practical than everything else out there. I've seen people with bots that had to edit like Notepad files to add their hero IDs or their settings or whatever, running weird terminal commands. And unlike every other service, DFKH doesn't run on somebody's computer. Like everybody else says, just run this program. Trust this program that I'm sending you and run it on your computer. and I promise it doesn't send me any information. And that's what I was faced with as well in late 2021, and that's where DFK came from. The security aspect was the first thing, and the second thing was that sometimes I have power outages, internet issues, etc., and I couldn't imagine having to depend on a computer running 24/7, 365, and having to get to that computer to change things. So that's why we came up with the whole idea of it should be cloud-based. Like you could be on the beach in the Maldives and you pull out your phone on the beach and bam, bam, you start stamina vialing, raffling, dueling, whatever it is you want. Like you get some idea in a conference call or something at work or whatever, and on the train, and you just make the changes and that's it. That's how it should be. You shouldn't be forced to be in front of a computer or anything.
Yeah, I would say that we try to be as automated as possible for you so that you don't have to think about anything other than what you want to think about in the game.
Right. So to go along with that, so that reminds me that the whole purpose of DFKH is to turn DFK into a game. Because when it started out, or let's just say without a tool, DFK isn't much of a game. It has a game in it, but there's so many tasks, there's so much complexity that if you really want to play the game, you want to do strategy, you want to have a whole bunch of heroes, you just can't do it by hand. It takes hours every day where you're just beside your phone. Oh my God, you got a timer going. I got a quest. But it's not just about the quest. The quests are nothing. It's everything else. Like, you want to sell your quest items. You want to do arbitration on items in the game. Doing it by hand is really tough and time consuming. So this is like.
So here's that infographic.
That's it.
Yeah, so it auto duels for you. There's a hero auto sell, the sell manager, level up management, auto guess, yes, absolutely, auto quest, auto raffle, harvest, auto summon, sell buy, make LPs, auto bridge, auto incubate, rent heroes for you. There's the logs, the analytics. If you're an analytics nerd, it'll do all that for you. The stamina bio piece is sort of unique and important maybe for some of you. Auto deposit, that one's an interesting one. And and it's interesting seeing some of these here on the screen. I know we were sort of talking offline. Zelys, yes, I'm maybe not making the most use of the bot here, but it can pretty much do just about everything you would maybe want your bot to do, or your something, a service for you to do. What features would you say are unique to your bot? I know we saw some of those on screen, but what would you say is unique to what you all can do?
So I haven't used any other bots at all. All I have the stories people tell me when they join DFKH. So every once in a while someone joins and they say, oh, I'm moving over from DFK or from Waifu, and they tell me, oh, this is so nice to have this feature or that feature. I don't know what they say lately, but from what I understand, first of all, no user has ever left DFKH, especially those that came from others. We have users that have used all of them, like Karakut, and I think you should have him on sometime if you haven't. He knows everything. He knows everything about everything, tracks everything. He's a genius. And so he knows everything. And from what I understand, DFKH does everything better, but it's not because that's our intent. It's not our intent at all. We never intended to compete with anyone or anything like that. It's just we do what the users want. So users come up with a request. I want to be able to do this, and we figure out how to do it. And that's happening every day. And to do this,
Absolutely.
it means being able to implement the change immediately, right away. Other devs, they have other projects and other things, and in the crypto space, we don't. We're 100% DFK. We don't care about anything else. If we leave DFK, we're not going to code for anything else. It's not coding that's our passion. It's DFK that's our passion. Everything we do, everything we learn is for DFK alone. We want the project to succeed. Someone was talking to me the other day and said, oh, they're going to have the auto questing feature as part of the official thing. And I'm like, that's exactly what we've been trying to get them to do. That's why it was the first feature that we came up with in 2021. It was, it should be automated. It should be automated. You shouldn't have to click a button, approve, transact, approve, next, right? Queuing transactions. It's a game. Like imagine you're playing, I don't know, Call of Duty, and every time you pull the trigger, you got to wait for the transaction screen to come up. You got to hit the approve button. Oh, it rejects a transaction for whatever reason. Now you're dead, right? And that's kind of like what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to make this into a game, and we think that for that to happen natively, the game should do a lot of things without needing to transact.
Your ideal DFK helper user, who would that be? I mean, is DFK Helper, would you say DFK Helper is for everyone?
Yeah, I would, because we have people that are, let's say, well-known in the community, right? We have folks like Ogre, Sandwich Punch was our first user, Coolio.
Yeah,
Mention
I
some
would say,
names.
no, yeah, we can name drop all that. We have plenty of well-known DFK users, but the cool thing is that we wanted to make it as much of a tier system as possible, so that everybody can join. Everybody from the whales all the way down to people who just started with a few. So that's why we have like auto questing only, which is our lowest tier. So if you just want a simple auto quester, the way our security runs, as far as encryption goes, is I personally would say the best out there, because we've been vetted by all the other people that we were talking with who provide similar services, and they were like, you can't do that. And we're like, okay, what can we do? So we worked it out our best. And, and that's our intent, is always to become better. So really, DFK Helper is universal in the sense that we offer every kind of tier that you could think of in order to customize it so that DFK Helper can work for you. So that's kind of our intent. And if it's not, then we want to get there.
So some users, they really like to do some things by hand, right? It's like particular things, just that by hand. Now I like to sell my items. I like to enter those raffles. I like to claim the rewards. But for those that don't want to, or for those other things that they don't want to do, it can be automated. So right now, there is nothing in DFK that is not automated in DFKH. And you have little checkboxes where you select what you want to turn on, what you don't want to turn on. When you start out, it's just auto questing. But you've got 15 check marks. Turn this on, turn that on. Turn it on only in Crystalville or only in Serendale. Up to these limits, or these many times a day, or
yeah. And we customize even the profession, like in the AI. Like we have AI specific, the way that Zelys created it specifically per profession, so that any way you could possibly think you want to quest with your heroes, you can do it. And that's everything from more stamina. One hero has that, and well, I want exactly 2 gardeners, right? Exactly one gardener to go. It's extremely customizable, which is very user friendly for a lot of people who run into problems with automation where they can only do one thing.
Because for an example of this, when Rock joined us, Rock 808, that happened, I think, in November, he the first thing he said right away was, why can't I send my fisher to do, I don't know, gardening or to do this or that? I said, well, because it's inefficient. Well, I want to send them in sets of 2 and I want them to do it this way. I'm like, well, it's not the optimal way. He's like, but I should be able to do whatever I want. Coolio and I talked about it, and we're like, yeah, I mean, people should be able to do whatever they want. Like, we try to make the AI do the optimal thing, what everyone recommends. You know, we do the math or whatever. But if somebody wants to do it their way, because we don't know everything, then they should be able to.
So as far as from the perspective of how easy is your bot to use, I could speak on it, but I want to hear from the two of you. I mean, Coolio, you've been instrumental in in helping me onboard and sort of get things together. Could you maybe talk through what sort of how easy is it to sort of make use of DFK Helper?
Sure. Yeah. This is my personal opinion. I have roughly seen what's out there, and this is by far the most user-friendly in the sense that as soon as you set it up, you can just tweak things with a click and a few numbers here. It's extremely user-friendly in the sense that you can copy and paste anything that you want, and it'll just start going for you. As user-friendly goes, we put notes up here for literally everything. So if you have any questions about something, you can just click it here. But it's very simple, right? You have your region. Where are they at? This can bridge for you. You can put all of your hero IDs here, and then.
But don't have to.
You don't. But you don't have to.
Put anything.
Everything that you can think of, we've probably already thought of, and if we haven't, then we're going to most likely implement whatever it is. Stats, you don't have to even have stats in here. You can just have it by the AI.
For leveling up.
Yeah, for leveling up. Quest assigned, we have pretty much every type of quest assigned that you could think of. For heroes level 10 and higher, like we were talking about with Rock. If you want to auto level, just click this button, true, false. You can be warned if you want to auto level, or you can warn at a certain level because so many people, right, requested, hey, I want to see my level 5. I want to see my level 10 mythic. I want to see.
I want to do it myself.
Right. Yeah. When you could see it in the log, and we'll show you everything in the log, but it's just there's something about the DFK doing it on DFK that people love. So we said, okay, we'll have a stop at warn. Again, I can go on, but as far as like the ease of use, even arbitration, using an LP or using the alchemy, everything that you can possibly think of is just a click away. And then a number away.
To make, buy, sell, anything. To get the ingredients for you. Everything has an AI built in. It can completely duplicate everything a human would do.
No, but as far as it can, every kind of way you can think of dueling. We've talked with Sandwich and other amazing duelers to come up with our own proprietary algorithm that's based on a few things that obviously we don't want to share everything with, so that the AI can duel the best for you. Same thing with trying to get the community to say, hey, if you want to optimize your raffle tickets, you're doing it wrong if you're manually raffling all the time. When if you just put a little bit in every single thing, over time, you're going to win amazing things. Every DFK Helper person who's ever tried that has won something pretty
Hundreds
awesome.
of crystals.
Yeah.
Several graders.
Yeah,
half of the Gen 0 winners are DFK users.
And it's crazy. Yeah, and I mean, the auto raffle feature is definitely one of my favorite pieces, and I'll talk more on that for sure.
Value, it's generally it's an issue of time, right? So people spend how much time per day every day for a month. It's nothing compared to the value that DFK provides them as far as time, meaning an hour's worth of work will pay for DFKH, and we'll save hundreds of hours.
Yeah, this is great. So walk me through what we're looking at here. This is a log, but what's the log about?
You want to walk them through?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So so basically, this is going to connect to your sheet, and everything that you see on here is what DFK Helper is doing for you in the background.
Live.
There's okay. So here's your log, and basically everything that DFK Helper is doing for you is going to be presented here. There's a whole bunch of ways you can view this log through the Advanced tab, but this is the most basic way to see things. And you have everything from your quests to your level ups to your duels. There's a whole bunch of commands that you can enter as well. So if I did /commands, you can see here in just 1 minute as the bot pulls it up, every kind of command that you could do. So
Beautiful.
here you can sync your sheet. If you want to do a hard restart, you can do that. This will give you your balance.
Nice.
If you want to see what's going on right here. Your report. Now the report is really helpful for keeping up to date with what's going on. It'll tell you, how many things have been quested and what heroes are on the sheet that shouldn't be there, or which heroes are not on the sheet that should be. You can also check out your wallets, make sure that this is the wallet, or what was my public address, all those kind of things. You can see your gardens, your hero, if you want to see all the heroes info on any hero, the list of your inventory. If you want to see your top 3 locked miners as they lead things. Again, we can go down this whole thing, but the gist is anything that you can think of as far as a command, we can always implement and add. So here you can see your report that popped up, and I need to edit some things, so I'll do that. But overall, this is going to connect to your sheet, and so as soon as you edit something, if you sync it up, it'll start doing it for you,
which happens automatically as well.
Right.
And people normally don't run any commands. Like, for
Right.
example, when you just ran the command thing, I heard certain filthy going, "Oh wow!"
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
That's it, because most people never do it. They just let the
Right.
thing run on full AI, right? It does the quests in the best way, as fast as possible, levels up your heroes instantly, sends them to quest again immediately. You get, an egg every day or more, depending on the number of heroes you have.
Wow,
Everything is optimal. Everything is fast. As far as hero value, I think everyone using DFKH has the highest level heroes. Not just because of the automatic stamina vialing, but just because there is no rest, right? It's leveling as fast as they can. It's spreading things out over time, which means more luck, as I call it. People often join DFKH and they say, "Oh my God, in the last 2 months, I got more eggs than I got in the last year." And that's right, because people normally, when they quest everything together, like with the multi-questing. And so the luck is pretty much the same, right? But when you spread it out over the day, over the night, same with raffles, right? DFKH is raffling while people are sleeping. When everything is dark, even Asia, for example, in the early morning, late night here. And those are the times to win those raffles. And if it wasn't for DFKH, those raffles wouldn't even take place. They didn't used to. So you know how you have to what's the term? You have to finalize the raffles?
That's right, yeah.
So what would happen is like at 10, 11 p.m. EST or PST, that's it. Raffles would get stuck because nobody would go there. And then, at 6 a.m, they start up again. With DFKH, every 14, 15 minutes, it's going, burning those tokens, which is good for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Same with dueling. So that's our secondary goal, is to help the DFKH ecosystem, to make sure that the devs see the token burnings that they should be seeing. It's to feed the quest fund, so that the people that want to have the highest level heroes for dueling or for whatever else, or for DSing them later for better heroes, that they have that. And meanwhile, everybody else in the community is getting the rewards from them feeding the quest fund and the token burnings. Funny mention support, right? So we are like to some degree, DFK University, right? Because what happens is even veteran players, they're talking to us and they say, hey, the bot is telling me this, or the bot is doing this. Why is it doing it? And so we explain, well, that's the most optimal way, obviously. They're like, no, I don't think so. Why? Right? So we explain the rationale, and it's not our rationale. That's the rationale of the users themselves, meaning that over time, over a year now, people like Sandwich Punch and you and everybody else have said, hey, I want to do it this way, or this way would be better. What if we cut them in half? What if we do a larger group? What if we do it more often? What if there's all these what ifs? And all of this is basically, it has nothing to do with botting. It has to do simply with the rules of the game. Right?
And they change, and they will continue to change. I mean, we've heard that in numerous AMAs. So absolutely. I will say your customer service is impeccable. Onboarding, if I didn't have the help and support of the likes of Coolio, I'd probably be still trying to figure out, not because it's necessarily hard, is that I'm a pretend computer literate. Like I know what I know what words are, but I just don't know what they mean in a sentence. So and things have changed. Coolio, thank you very much for putting out. And I saw you the two of you, maybe Coolio exclusively. You guys have been rolling out more how-to videos, onboarding being one of those. But going back to the cost, yeah. So the support, absolutely, I get that piece.
It takes the majority of our time. It takes the majority of time by far. Questions. It's not so much support about DFKH. It's support about DFK. So basically, 99.9% of our users do not use DFK support because they have us, and because we are like DFK support in that we know a whole lot of stuff. But in addition to that, we have access to their wallet. Right, so we are able to solve their issue. Like DFK sometimes can't do anything. They're like, "Oh, I'll raise it up the chain. I'll do a ticket. Hopefully we can fix that for you." Whereas we can probably fix it. We can do active quests. Or
I'm convinced you guys don't sleep. I've messaged Coolio at all hours of the day, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing up at 1 a.m?
Yeah,
I'm usually asleep by then, but because Coolio's in the West Coast, he's able to be up a little later.
Yeah, no. So that's that piece. I don't know if you want to expand more on the reasoning.
People ask, but last thing on this, people ask, how are you guys so approachable? And my answer is, I ask, what do you mean? And they're like, well, we used other bots and we can never get a hold of dev. We're lucky to get a hold of, somebody on the forum, some other user that maybe tries to help us, but the devs never. And the answer is, if things are running smoothly for everyone almost all the time, then there's nobody bothering us, right? Saying, hey, when are you going to fix this? Hey, what's going on? Please help me. And so because we, unlike every other tool out there, because we control which version everyone is running, it means that if you complain about a problem or a bug or whatever, I can fix it right then and there, and it's fixed for everyone. Meaning if something happens, in the middle of the night and I get the report in the morning and I fix it, everybody else, when they get up, when they check, there is no problem. Everything's fine. Whereas the other tools, they got 50 million tickets from everybody, and they're trying to address each and every one, with the same response potentially, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
All right. So done with support.
Yeah. No. So there's different tiers, right? So there's your starter pack, and you guys do. I mean, if you guys really tailor your fee scheduling to almost any type of user, right? Whether you're using multiple wallets, multiple accounts, or one account but different chain. It's sort of interesting. Coolio, do you want to just briefly break that down and maybe guide us? And I'll link to it on the video. But where would people be able to find a full scope of what that pricing fee schedule looks like?
Yeah, so each person can tailor however they want to use DFK Helper through, and we take two things into consideration. The first one is hero amount, and the second one is how many wallets. So those are the two main things that we take into consideration. And then we have two options with that. Okay, so we're very tailored to what the individual needs. You can either do auto questing only, or you can have full feature where everything that we offer is all part of the program. So with auto questing only, a lot of people do that because they don't need all the extra features. And what's unique about DFK Helper is
bells
that
and whistles.
Is what?
The bells and whistles.
Yeah, exactly. All the bells and whistles of the extra stuff. They're just like, give me the quest, give me my tiers, let me go on with my life. And that's great. So we offer that as our lowest tier. But one thing that's very unique about DFK Helper is that we run everything on our end. So the user doesn't have to ever think about, is my computer on? What is my cost for maintaining and running this thing? If you're I think we mentioned before, if you're flying out, to go see your parents or something like that, to visit someone or relative or anything like that, you have the, us as support that you can contact whenever you need to. And we're running your instance on our server. So it's not, anything you ever have to go to. And then that also ties back into security where, everything is encrypted to the fullest. It's the way I've always thought about it is like Pin My Ride for encryption. We got encryption for encryption. So that's why we use PGP encryption on top of SSL TLS. And then even on Zelys's end, his server doesn't face the internet when he does it. So it's like the ultra security. So those are just a few things that we take into consideration. But if you do want to see the gist of it, what tailors your need, what works for you, dfkhelper.com, which we use Ko-fi for all the different tiers and things like that. You just go to dfkhelper.com and you can find out what's best, and just message us if you have any extra questions on that stuff.
And you make it easy. I mean, it's PayPal. I mean, unless things have changed, and I turned a blind eye, but PayPal directly out and sort of one and done. You kind of don't even have to think twice about it. Value proposition. I was streaming last night, and it came up as a comment. I think Brown Gent. I forgot how exactly it came up, but oh hey, if we died, what happens to all our assets? And Brown Gent was talking about how like, oh his wife knows exactly what to do. He's coached her through it. And it got me to think. I was like, if I die, I mean, conceivably speaking, I don't know that anyone would know, because DFK Helper can pretty much run at everything for you, right? You can take a month off, you can take a couple weeks off, and sometimes, whether we want to or not, we kind of have to do that. I almost think about it sometimes like autopilot on a car, right? You can sort of have it auto do its thing. Tesla. And then you can test it. And then you can take the steering wheel back and sort of do what you want to do, right? So it gives you the opportunity to sort of do the mundane automatically, and then sort of take the wheel. And yes, DFK Helper can do things like Duel for you, but whenever I'm really close between like one bracket and the other, I kind of like to take the steering wheel back. It's like, okay, well, I kind of want to see myself get over the hump, right?
And or adjust it, because that's essentially so this is something that really surprised me, that even though DFK can run automated for everything in the game, right? The arbitration, the dueling, the questing, the level, everything. Even though that's the case, it can run by itself. When we open up our configuration, so where we see Coolio now, we see everybody's configuration files just from afar. We will see the times changing, meaning that people are updating them in real time, continually throughout the day, every day, all the time. Everyone is always modifying, tweaking. Oh, let me make my duel 2 minutes faster. Oh, let me rotate this with this. Let me bridge that hero over there manually so he can do this other thing. Let me buy a little more gold, but sell a little more of the tiers. Just this kind of thing is happening all the time. Whereas normally a user wouldn't be able to even do these kinds of tweaks because they're just overwhelmed by having to do those things to begin with. Oh my God, I got to do 37 buys by hand. I need a list. I need to write this down. And essentially in DFKH, they have it written down. It's always there, ready for them. And all they have to do is change a number and voila.
And as far as value proposition, I know there's a section within the DFK Helper Discord where people can come in and sort of provide their sort of unabashed, sort of truthful, honest, here you
That's
go
rock.
testimony, right? I mean, from what you recall, because I know you get many of those every so often. I mean, what sort of things are you hearing from other people as far as some of these testimonies to say, hey, you know what, I'm getting bang for my buck. I find this valuable, and and you said it. Hey, to date, no one's left the service. If anything, people are maybe upgrading or sort of
Upgrading.
tacking on things. So,
Yeah.
so as far as that goes, I mean, what can you say? What are others saying?
Yeah, so we hear from everyone that either they never used anything before. That's kind of rare nowadays. The most likely scenario is that people say, I was using this service or that service or that service. I used all the services. I used this one first, then that one. And they're like, I'm amazed. I didn't know DFKH could do what they could do and 10 times more. I had no idea. No one told me. I didn't know it could be so easy to configure. Even people that will say, when I first signed on, oh my God, I saw that Google sheet, and I was like, oh man, what am I going to do with all these options and settings? And they're like, I didn't touch anything. Didn't touch anything for a month, for two. I just let it be, change a little thing at a time. But the whole time it did everything I wanted and more. And so then over time they become power users, and they do things to make more money that they wouldn't have thought of doing before, like arbitration, like selling heroes while they're leveling because they're increasing in value. There's just so many things, the auto summoning, things that people normally wouldn't have time for that create value. And here you have all of it. But there
Coolio,
is,
what? Yeah,
sorry,
no, how go for it?
we're talking about costs, and aside from what we mentioned so far, which is like utilities, the hardware, etc., there's also other things that people don't know a lot about that we have to pay for. One of these is the RPCs. So we have two private RPCs, one on Clayton and the other on DFKC. And what is the purpose of these? Are they truly necessary? Are they a necessary expense? The answer is no, they're not a necessary expense, but there's two reasons we have them. One is because sometimes the normal RPCs get really congested. That's when you're doing things manually and you get error, JSON RPC, error, and they come over and over and you can't do anything. And an hour later, you still can't do anything. Well, DFKH doesn't have those sorts of problems, but it will slow down and it will take longer to do things. And to prevent that, we have our own private RPC that nobody else can use. And so our transactions are smoother. But that's not really necessary. It could wait half an hour until conditions are better. So then comes the real reason why we got the private RPCs. And that is that we feel that to be a responsible player, we should handle our own workload. So what happens with normal bots is that they program it to become a machine gun. Are you ready to quest? Are you ready to quest? Are you ready to quest? Right? It's like a machine gun is sending all these calls all the time, millions of calls, and blindly, without saving information, without thinking about the most optimal way to do it. And the reason that they do this is because they think, well, who cares? I don't have to pay for those RPCs. That's the problem of the public. That's the problem of the blockchain. That's the problem of DFK. But someone has to pay for all of those calls. So all these tools that are out there, the analytics and everything that pulls anything, they create a cost for DFK. And DFK has to pay for every single call. There's no package deal. No, they're paying for each of those calls. And we're paying for them as well. The only difference is that that's what causes us to also be more optimal with the code, to be a responsible player. And there's one more thing. One more thing. So let's say that all our servers go down.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it. Tell me.
So if that happens, then we wouldn't necessarily know that everything went down if we're not on site watching the code in real time. And so for this, we also pay a service where we pay for each and every instance, for each and every person that's a user, every wallet, to warn us that it hasn't checked in. So basically every couple of minutes, it checks in, hey, I'm here, everything is fine, I'm working, everything's going well. And when it stops doing that for a period of time, Coolio and I get alerts. these really loud alerts. So, this person's wallet is down. It hasn't been transacting. There's something really wrong. And that costs money. So a couple of things like this as well.
How often are you improving upon the bot? And I know you guys are receptive to feedback. How do people give that feedback, generally speaking? So maybe a two-part question here.
Okay, so for example, today, someone approached me privately and said, hey, Grady and I, we are huge proponents of pairing everything with gold. And I'd like DFKH to do that. And at first I responded to them, why would you want to do such a thing? Gold is like cash, like fiat, in the sense that it can be produced infinitely. There's no limited supply. Why would you do that? It's even produced by the NPC vendors themselves, right? They can punch out unlimited amounts of gold. And he explains his case. And I say, well, you might have a point there. And then I thought, if Rock was in this conversation, I know what he'd say. You can't put me in a box. You can't tell me what to do. You don't know. We don't know what's coming next. And that kind of thing.
Make it happen.
Who's the theory crafter in here? Yeah, it's you. So that's how it always happens. That first I resist. I'm like, are you sure that's a good idea? I don't know. And then, I grew amenable to the idea. So I decided, people should be able to pair in other things. So today I spent much of the day coding this. So now it's possible to pair in gold. I still need a tester. So I asked the person that asked me, hey, could you test this? And I'm waiting for them to say yes. Well, you would say, why don't you want to test it? I don't want to test it. I'm happy with the way my stuff is going without gold. Come on, just a little bit. Test a little bit. Oh, no. So just don't have time for it. But there are protections in place. Obviously, just either won't work or, it'll do a little bit too much or a little too little. But otherwise, it's fine. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I noticed that one of our users, he's been getting errors for the past 2 weeks where he basically wasn't questing efficiently. And we asked why that was. And he said, oh, I'm on vacation or I'm traveling. I'm gone for a couple of weeks. And I just thought, that's a real shame. If he could just go into the UI and click these two things, his problem would be fixed. So I looked through the dev docs and I found something that might be helpful. And I contacted Mr. Zipper. And he helped me. I think you'll see it in the changelog today, define a way so that you can clear just one hero from a stuck quest. Just a single hero. If you go to the UI and click the button, all your active heroes lose all their stamina.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
It's like a nuke. And nobody wants to do that. So people would look at the error and they'll say, you know what? No, man, I got like 460 heroes questing. I can't be. And there will never be an opportune time. It's not like I'm going to wait until my quests are over. I'm always going to have hundreds of heroes questing. It just doesn't work. So we had to find a way, and so we did. And that's the way. So now DFKH will both automatically try to do it, and a user can now also force it, which is a simple Telegram command, basically clear this hero, and it will be done.
I know you touched on this briefly, but if you could elaborate just a bit more. You were talking about security of the bot service. I'm sure it's very complicated, but in layman's terms, I mean, if you could break it down, for us, it sounds like it's. Oh, okay, perfect, beautiful. Zelys, just break it down. It sounds like it's multi-layer, and that's really at the core of its safety and security. I mean, is there anything more to that? I mean, is that basically just it?
So when a player normally plays, they have to have a hot wallet, right? To approve each and every transaction. You basically got the hot wallet all the time. Meaning the moment you opened up your browser and you unlocked your MetaMask, that's it. The key is there in memory. and you could be getting transactions to be approved, suggested transactions from, anyone or anything potentially. If you have this thing open, you might, on your very valuable wallet, right, where you have your main stuff, you might go to some random website and approve, either meaning to or not meaning to. You approve a transaction that, as some people have said, results in the loss of your heroes, a loss of your garden LPs or your ETH, whatever. It's happened to almost everybody. And I see as an additional layer of security to first have the mindfulness to separate your assets, your true valuables from, let's say, your gaming assets that are purely gaming. And so one of the things that we suggest when people sign up to DFKH is, separate your valuables. Don't give us all your Bitcoin, the wallets, or you have, all that stuff that's valuable. No, just separate it into your gaming assets and the ones that you're more willing to risk, let's say, and use that. So this causes people to, maybe for the first time, and it often happens for the first time, and I'm sure Coolio can attest because he does most of the onboarding, is that a little light goes off and the user then creates another second, third, fourth, fifth wallet, and they stop using the valuable wallets, period, for when they're browsing online and checking stuff out, which improves their security. And then secondarily, because all these wallets are now under the care of DFKH, they don't have to constantly have to hot wallet them, both on their browser or on their mobile phone, or as they're traveling, as they're in some strange Wi-Fi connection, some public Wi-Fi. So just in that sense alone, we've seen a couple of security improvements, and they have nothing to do with DFKH, right? This is merely organization and cleaning and separating your stuff. So then we go beyond that. And as Coolio mentioned, when the key is encrypted and sent by the user, that's sent to an encrypted form, HTTPS, SSL, and so forth. So essentially, it's like a second layer of encryption because the key's already encrypted to begin with. And then it gets re-encrypted with a random password on our end. And that's pretty much it. But you can see how the most significant part isn't the security of DFKH itself. It's the fact that people separate their assets.
And that's beautiful. Self-improvement as a consequence. I mean, how lovely. I mean, it sure gets you to think about things you don't necessarily think on a daily basis, or maybe you take for granted. But I mean, absolutely. I think that I hear you. I'm there, right? Trying to sort of just be constantly wary and aware, and absolutely having these conversation, bringing them forward, bringing them to light. Very important, and I think that's, like I said, a positive consequence or positive result of having exploring a service like yours.
And if I can take it one step further, there's a lot of education in the onboarding alone.
No kidding.
Mainly that
Absolutely.
Coolio's with, because people are like, well, no, but people are like, what's a PK? What's a private key? What's that for? Can I just give you my seed? Right, this kind of thing. No, you can't give us your seed. You can't give anybody your seed. Oh, but what if I encrypt the seed? No, right? A seed gives access to your entire wallet, including future wallets that you don't even have, right? That are part of the same MetaMask in the future, perpetually. Like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to give access to everything you have. So again, we go over what a private key is, what a public address is, what this wallet is, separating it, all these things, and then Coolio goes through that.
On top of that, like with when it comes to hot wallets, and really anytime that you have your private key or any access to your wallet on any kind of server, that's whether private or public, but just in general on the internet, where people can have access to it or get to it, there's some susceptibility there, right? There's some area of vulnerability within that. So I think the thing that really got to me when I was working with Zelys was how he explained that, when he encrypts it, number one, it's encrypted on his server that does not connect to the internet. So there's no,
it's not a website.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So there's no way, that people are going to get access to it. It's like Fort Knox in a certain regard.
comparatively.
Yeah.
Whereas a user might be, looking up some strange software online, downloading some strange stuff, accessing some strange websites, getting some odd software that has malware, or they already have keylogging on their computer, or who knows? Who knows what's going on the user's computer?
You mean you guys don't auto connect to MetaMask all the time like I do? That's strange.
DFKH doesn't use DFKH doesn't use MetaMask. There's no intermediary wallet.
Right.
So this is also a reason that DFKH is able to simultaneously operate on both chains.
No,
as opposed
and
to the user having to switch back and forth manually.
talking to you the last time, made me realize how much I was sort of underutilized. I had a Ferrari, but I was driving it like a Prius, and it made me think about some of the things I wasn't doing. And I'll talk a bit more of that during my personal review of DFK Helper here in a bit. But top features that even some of your existing users are underutilizing, maybe unaware of. You're continuously updating stuff, changing things up. Sometimes I have a bunch of Discord messages that just go unread because I got a bunch of different messages from all the different servers I'm a part of. So you guys, I'm sure, are communicating this out, but I miss it. Can you just recap this? Not, yes, for the new people coming in, but even for some of us sort of long-standing, implementers of DFKH, what are we missing? What are we missing out on?
You want this one, Cools?
Yeah, I'll hit a few of them that I can think of. Then you can go, Zelys. Okay, so dueling and raffling go together. This is where a lot of our users actually get amazing profit in DFK is through raffles. And so it's coded so that any kind of raffle can happen at any time, small to large. And you can choose which ones you want, how often you want them to go. So specifically, if you wanted it only at nighttime when nobody else is really playing or interacting with it, so you have a higher probability of winning. It's incredible the amount of users who have won things. Like I myself have won odds that I never thought I would have because I've continually put in a little bit over time. So once you get dueling down, right, if you have decent heroes and you put them with the AI that Zelys created, you're going to rank up. And as you rank up, you're going to get those tickets. And then you just click the next button to raffle those off and you get incredible profits from it. So if you have 3 wallets and you have different heroes and all, you're doing that all the time. So you're making incredible profit. So on top of that, right, if you engage it all with dueling, because so many people hate clicking duels over and over and over again, which is it's fun to an extent, right? Then it becomes repetitious at some point where you're just trying to, get to that prize that you want so that you can have that golden egg or those stamina vials so you can improve your hero. You always want to keep on improving.
Duel number 5,000.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if you have to click 5,000 times, we're trying to save people from Purple's Tunnel and things like that, and time in general. So as soon as you can do that, though, right, you can win those prizes. So it's always about, with the dueling AI, which I think people are not as familiar with, which I'm trying to bring to light a little bit more because it's incredible the way that Zelys coded it. It will get you very, very far, and I would say further than you could ever do on your own, so that you have the opportunity to win more raffles and things like that.
And it also teaches you as it goes, because you can see the duels that are winning or losing, and you compare it to what you were doing manually, for example. You can think about how it could be better or not. You look at the other person's heroes, because DFK is reporting all this information and it stores it. And unlike the UI, you can access all of that immediately, instantly. Logs.
And I'll throw this in. So in your Telegram logs, it'll tell you the results of the duels as they go. But then in detail, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys also provide suggestions, right? It's like, here is your foe, here are the results. Suggestion would be try this combination in the future.
These elements.
Try these elements in the future. So that's interesting. That's helpful. The dueling, the raffling, other things.
Because that way you don't
other
have to remember. Nobody wants to reference that chart over and over and over and
Oh
over.
my
Which
God, no.
element defeats, and you see the little bubbles. Like somebody made a really cool GIF, that shows the little bubbles about which element beats which element. But man, after looking at it hundreds of times, it gets pretty annoying. But DFKH will basically look at the chart for you and then tell you, hey, you're losing a lot. You wouldn't lose so much if you had fire, for example, or dark.
And then the AI will also take care of just anything that you probably couldn't think of. And we have a few ways of doing that. Second thing I would say is that a lot of people aren't aware of our quests. I don't know many other services that do this, but you can assign any hero with any quest. So if they're not a gardener, you can put them on a garden quest. And then you can set the amount. So if you want, for those 15,
so we make that a little bit harder.
Yeah. Yes. But the quest assigned is editable. So I would definitely say people don't take advantage of that as much as they should. Also, items, our items tab. The way we set it up now, we have everything to prevent slippage along with how many items you want to buy at a certain time. Again, so it's going to take into account, okay, what is the most optimal way for me to purchase this so that I save the most in fees, the most in my time, all those different things, because so many people don't take into account those things if they're automating, something like, I need this, right? I need these stamina vials.
I need 500 vials right now.
Right.
But not right now.
Right. Over time, right? You want to collect.
But what's going to happen to slippage if I buy the 500 right now because I don't have time later to be checking for price again and again and again? So how much am I going to overpay for these vials? And that's the slippage issue. But with DFKH, you can just set it to buy every couple hours and so forth for a certain quantity below a certain price. And eventually you'll have all the vials you wanted at the best possible price. Meanwhile, the liquidity is fine, right? You're helping out the ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you guys can also set it up so that you auto create or you auto sort of
LP.
make the LP, but even create stamina vials. Is that something you can do?
Alchemy.
Yes.
Yeah,
there you go.
Automake.
The alchemy. Yep.
Automake. It's not just alchemy because there's also the stone carver. So it used to be called auto alchemy.
That's right.
Now I call it auto make because right now it does alchemy and the stone carver, and in the future it's going to be doing all these other items that we're going to be able to make.
And
it's just simple auto make. So DFKH, you don't have to remember also, where do I make that? Where's the stone carver in this realm? Where can I find
when is he showing up?
The alchemy, when he's showing up, you don't do that. You just set up DFKH. I want to make this stuff, and when it's possible to make it, it will make it. It will buy the ingredients you're missing. You need to memorize. Oh, I need, I have everything except, the rock root. Oh man, I got to buy 3 rock root to make my 500 vials. You don't need to worry about that. DFKH will take care of it. So just do the strategy.
The other thing is the commands in Telegram. A lot of people aren't familiar with the commands in Telegram. And I think if you become more, if you integrate those more into your everyday viewing or actions, it could help you a lot. For example, like what we were just
mentioned too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a great example. We were chatting last week and you mentioned, the auto command. I didn't know that. I was telling Zelys and Coolio before we started recording, I was unaware that you could have it sync on command. I was under the impression that I had to wait 24 hours to resync my. There you go. Yeah, see, I'm totally unaware of the specific time period. Well, now, and because I was dueling this way, where the bonus classes have changed. Well, let me switch it up. Or I think these heroes are gonna rock my next few battles. So I was thinking, and then I sort of discovered the AI piece, and I don't even have to think that much at all. Now it's just let it run, let it do its thing. Exactly. Absolutely. Other things, other features, Coolio, maybe that you can think of.
I interrupted
that
him. You're still going.
No, that's okay. But one thing that took me onto that topic of commands is if you want to buy or make and you don't know which one is better, then in the commands you can choose, what should I do? What's more cost effective right now? Should I buy or should I make? So that's taken into account there.
That's the price check.
Yeah.
The price check command will check the buy price of the item you put at the quantity you put, the sell price at that quantity, and then we'll also check what it would cost to make it. So it'll check the current value of all the ingredients and the proper quantities for the quantity you're planning to produce, 100 vials. And then it will tell you it will also tell you the delta, which is to say, if you made it and tried to sell it, you would make or lose this much money.
Mad Max mode is pretty helpful for dueling, which is just, Zelys could probably talk more about the technicalities of it, but it'll basically fly you through duels.
There's two things that dramatically increase the speed of things, and those are Mad Max for dueling, which basically, so what happens normally is that the quest is the programmer tries to be very efficient, very economical, take its time, do things right kind of thing. But if somebody wants to get to the top of duels quickly, they're in a rush of some sort. They don't want it to take its time. They don't care about the fishing quest going a little slower or whatever. They want that duel. They're watching their log. They want to see the results popping one after the other. They want those raffle tickets or whatever it is. And so enabling things like Mad Max, let's talk about Mad Max. It creates a parallel instance where it's just dueling happening on the side. So if there's anything else, it'll queue along with it. So Mad Max went first, it's dueling, I have to wait to do a quest or whatever. Whereas otherwise, if you had 10 quests pending and 3 level ups, and those things would happen first before the next duel. So the Mad Max creates a simultaneous mode. And
that's something I'm using. I love it. Keep going.
Not only that, the Mad Max mode pays for matching. So again, DFK tries to do things economically. Someone mentioned recently that in Clayton, it's very expensive to pay for a dual match. It was like, what was it, like half a jade for him at some point?
Yeah.
I think it was Sticks that mentioned it. And yeah, it's generally expensive on both chains in the long term if you're matching every duel. So DFK tries not to match because you don't have to. And that's a lot of things that people don't know, that when anyone in the game matches a duel in a category like squad or solo, it matches a whole lot of other people at the same time with that one match transaction. So there could be 20 people in line, and maybe, I'm not sure of the exact number, but maybe all of them or at least 10 of them will get matched as a result. So if you just wait a moment, somebody else that's in more of a rush than you will pay for that match. So DFK generally waits. But if someone's using Mad Max, they'll end up paying for everyone else.
So I've been paying for everyone's matches. That's good to
know. You're welcome, everybody.
If you are interested in DFK Helper, if you're looking for a service to help maybe make your lives a bit easier, and then really, truly enjoy your time within DFK, maximizing some of those, those moments in time within the game, even, consider DFK Helper. I know there's many tools, many bot services out there, many services out there. And maybe a year from now, there's even more. But definitely consider them. If you have any questions, Discord, and I'll post a link here in the comment section of the video, or I'll pin it to the comment section, so that way you guys have it if you're not already involved or aware. Any general questions, I think you can certainly ask there, and Coolio, Zelys, I'm sure will be more than happy to answer those questions. With that said, want to thank the two of you very much for your time. I look forward to having you guys back on. I'm sure at some point in time, maybe PvP, maybe PV, who knows? I don't know when we next talk about something cool and exciting within DFK Helper, but I know there will be a next time. Again, thank you for being so gracious and being so flexible with me. I appreciate it.
Can I add a couple of notes? A closing note?
Oh, yes, please.
So in a couple of interviews like this, I've seen that the devs make like their political views known, and by political I mean about the DFK ecosystem. And I'd like to do the same for both Coolio and I. So a couple of things. Number one, the DFK devs, they're light years ahead of everyone and everything else in the whole crypto space. So let's leave that clear. We've been following this since the very beginning, since 2021. And I've met most of them and talked to them privately. And I can tell you that that remains the case. They're absolutely amazing. We love them. We love their vision. The next one is Frisky, is a visionary like no other. Someone else has the name Dreamer, but the real Dreamer is Frisky. And his dreams come true, as we've been seeing over time. The next one is that Hubert is an absolute genius. I didn't know this before. I didn't know this for like a year, perhaps. But over time, I've watched some of the things that he's developed and some of the speeches that he's given. And man, he's an Einstein of the ecosystem. I met Dreamer. If you watch his videos on YouTube, where he's been in the space in Miami in Decentral, he's like a master chess player. He can see strategy 1,000 steps ahead. He's extremely charismatic. He has brought to the negotiating table just about everyone. So he's amazing. Bolon, everybody loves Bolon, right? He's the guy with a heart of gold, with the easy smile, that easy laugh, makes us all feel great. And I thought it was just like on video. No, in person, it's even stronger. But I mean, everyone I'm in the team, they're just nice and honest and really capable, really smart. And what else? And that's one of the reasons that I'd like to join them in the core development, because I would be, if I could be part of that, I'd be humbled. I don't think I'm as good as any of them in any way, shape, or form, right? But if I can serve them cookies and make their coffee, I'm good to go. I learn so much.
No, and thanks for mentioning that. I mean, it's one of those things. I think as a community, and I do that sometimes, we sort of pass on our constructive criticism, and oftentimes lost in translation, lost in all that is the fact that we love DFK. We're all here because we can see the big picture vision, and for me, and I think for you all too, I see the big picture. I see that in a few years, if things go according to plan, DFK is going to be a big thing, and I certainly feel like we're all here at the beginning stages of something much bigger than us, which is great. Coolio, any closing remarks from you?
No, I mean, I just fall, I guess, kind of in line with everything that Zelys just said. In this next bull run, as things pick up, I just really hope the passion and as we tackle on these new users, the passion from the devs has always been there, and we've seen their resilience and their ability to withstand incredible opposition. In spite of all the macroeconomic hard times that are going on. So in this next bull run, I'm excited to see DeFi teams just pop off in a way that it hadn't before. And I mean that through its lore, through the interactivity of the players, and how the guilds, the messaging apps, like he was saying, Frisky has this vision, for this, and I'm just really excited to actually see this implement.
I would call it the 30-year vision, because he's thinking about incorporating so much, and I keep saying about Ready Player One. If anyone hasn't watched the movie, for example, do it. Because that's our vision. That's everyone's vision for this thing. I also want to give a shout out to Grady, to Sandwich Punch, to Rock, all the other influencers. You as well. You're the very first one that I ever listened to.
Oh, get out of here! No way. Humbled.
And I met Mystic Squad and Primetime and ADFK and
Brown Jet.
I have never made so many friends so quickly as in the DFK space.
The community is wonderful, and I think we're all here to uplift each other and sort of rise as a collective one. And I appreciate that. Again, thank you
to be
guys.
amongst you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Again, if you are considering a DFK questing service, and it's not just questing, an automation service of sorts, there are many options for you out there. Consider DFKH and a great community for sure. Stay in touch. We'll catch you next time. And as always, it's been a pleasure to have you guys. Pleasure to have you guys listening to us. Catch y'all next time.
So 2 veterans to sergeant. Salute.
There you go. Yeah, from 2 real veterans to a fake one. I love it. Catch y'all later.
That are fans.
Welcome back. Yet another wardrobe change for me. I have been sort of filming this across several days now. It's given me the opportunity to talk to both Zelys and Coolio about DFK Helper for the better part of 2-3 hours. What you saw was compilation snippets of those, that conversation. Trying to get a more full understanding, even for myself, about the service they offer and sort of get to know them a bit more. It was a pleasure. It was nice to sort of have that conversation with them. I onboarded with DFK Helper several months ago at this point. I believe it may have been October. Somewhere in the stream, I think Zelys mentioned when that happened. Needless to say, as part of my review, just want to, we'll start with the quote unquote, the bad, right? There's no real bad. I think, as I've already mentioned in one of my other streams, if there's anything bad per se about any of the products or tools I was reviewing and providing an overall overview for you all, I would not be doing it. But I will say that initially onboarding was a bit difficult for me. Not for anything other than I've joked about this in the past. I know my way around computers, but I'm not super tech savvy. I did need some assistance to get the private key stuff all set up and sort of figure it out. Coolio was tremendous. His customer support was vital in sort of making that a reality. So that was great. Since then they've gone ahead and developed some onboarding videos, some other videos as well that would help you if you've not already signed up. Sort of walk you through how to do that. But again, the super helpful. As I mentioned in the video, I've messaged them, at various times of the day, and between Zelys and Coolio, if someone gets back to me, and I presume you as well, they would get back to you, fairly quick, which is great. As far as pricing, I know there's a fee schedule is a bit different than maybe some of the other products out there. They do charge a monthly fee. The price point I'm paying, I think it's can vary from what you're paying. They have anywhere from like I think $35 for a basic sort of 100 hero wallet plan, I believe, to $45 for a step above that, and they can really customize what your sort of service looks like, and there's different price points, and if one's not available to your liking, I'm sure they can create one for you, meaning in the event you're you're a 9 wallet a DFK player, I'm sure they could accommodate you somehow and sort of account for pricing in that way. Again, reach out to them. I'll link over to their websites for more information on that end. But yes, it's a monthly fee, and yes, it can maybe be a bit more expensive than some of the other services, but you really get, I think, bang for your buck. It's almost a complete automation of DFK. It's been a complete automation practically of my DFK experience, with an asterisk, right? I do. It's opened up the opportunity for me to be able to do things like, find that perfect hero for me, do some awesome fun stuff with, the genetics, right, the abilities, try and matching up some awesome degen, dark summoning moves, do some more fight club, which I've enjoyed. And really, quite frankly, allowed me to do more of these videos. I quite frankly was at a crossroads a couple of months ago where I was spending a lot of time sort of doing the mundane, right? The questing um, and claiming LPs and reallocating some of that stuff. And I was at that crossroads where it's like, yeah, I can't both stream, produce content, and partake, in DFK, as a whole, between being in the discords and just doing the questing and doing the content creation. I was thinking something had to give. I would say, and I'm sure you've heard this already. There's many other content creators who are using DFK Helper. I would say, yeah, I would bet that that the reason you're seeing more content being pushed out in the form of videos or infographics or some of the Medium articles, is because of automation services. And I know a lot of the people I've talked to in the content creation community are DFK Helper sort of subscribers. And again, if not for them, I'd probably be cutting back significantly, if not maybe entirely. So, for me, from my perspective, they were the tool that sort of best fit my needs, having done my own research. So kudos to them. I know the Google Sheet sort of seems funny to some people. I know that Zelys is working on a user interface that will spoofy up the way things look. With that said, once you sort of get your hands on that Google Sheet, it's actually convenient. I like the fact that I could be, the guys mentioned it. You could be anywhere that's not in front of your computer, and as long as you have an internet connection, um, if you were wanting to make changes to your sheet, you could do that. If you didn't, and you could take off for a week or two, and let it be. I wasn't joking when I said, if I left the community for a month, or if I died, right? Um, my heroes would not be the wiser because they'd be questing and sort of doing their own thing. And but for the fact that I'm maybe active on social media and developing content, would my absence not be noticed? So um, it does a lot. We recap some of that. Um, the fact that I've spent so much time in developing this video, I will say that I've had the opportunity to be able to listen to some of the things I wasn't doing, some of the things I could be doing, and implementing those things. It sort of made my experience with DFK Helper that much more enjoyable. Um, so that's been fun. Feature requests, as mentioned, have been implemented. They continue to be implemented. They're evolving. They're growing. If you can think it, they can build it for you. And to date, I've not heard of something they've not done for someone. So something to think about on that end. I'll end with you may already have a bot. And this isn't necessarily a hey, you should switch to DFK Helper, although if you wanted to and so chose to, you could. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think the space is big enough for more than one bot. Yes, it can do everything for you, but you can have a DFK helper for maybe your premier heroes if you wanted to go that route. Sort of use them, in an optimized form. Use their service for that. Of course, you can go all in and sort of use DFK helper exclusively. Uh, there are auto questing bots out there who just do that. They auto quest for you, right? And and maybe do a combination of things, or even DFK helper and sort of the make use of the modified questing that you can now do within DFK itself, right? If you want to go that route. I'm not in a position to thinking about sort of leaving DFK helper. And by that I mean it's been so much of a time saver for me, where I've been able to reinvest my time and energy in different ways. And I think you all may be seeing some of that in some of the videos I've been doing recently, and some of the maybe the quality and stuff I'm doing in that end. Again, you may have been noticing that with some of your other content creators. So from that perspective, in terms of ROI and value, it's there for me. So something to consider. I enjoy it. I think you would enjoy it too if you're looking for not just a bot, but a true automation service, top to bottom. I'd consider DFK Helper. In a year, could things change? Maybe there's a newer, better tool that comes out in a year. Although I will say, with the way they're developing, the way they're pivoting, the way they're evolving, and the fact that they're so willing to listen to the community, listen to their customers, and implement some of their suggested changes, some of their feedback, I suspect that DFK Helper will not just be here a year from now, but 2-3 years from now, well beyond then. Again, with anything, do your own research. These are my opinions. Use this as an additional sort of vetting method to any of the other research you've done on your own. I would advise anyone sort of lean on any one suggestion for anything, but again, take it into consideration. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope to be doing more of these. And until next time, Sergeant out. In addition, before I leave entirely, I failed to mention there is a link within the description of the video you can click on. I will be getting sort of it's a referral link, so I would be getting some sort of kickback from you joining DFK Helper through that link. I will say that I think there are some other content creators doing something similar. What I would say is support any one of us. There's no don't feel obligated to choose, pick my link over someone else's. I would say support your favorite content creators, support them all. And as always, just a friendly reminder to continue liking those videos, turning on those notifications, subscribing, commenting, and not just my videos. I think anyone's videos. We're a community that uplifts one another, and many of us, for many of us, getting that sort of feedback and recognition from the community keeps us going, keeps us motivated to sort of bring you more. So food for thought. Again, hope you've enjoyed the video, and until next time.